There exists a silent language more powerful than words, more persuasive than arguments, and more enduring than promises. It is the language of behavior. Every day, whether you realize it or not, you are teaching the world how to value you, not through what you say, but through what you consistently do. The first behavior is honoring your own standards. When you refuse to settle for less than what aligns with your purpose, you send a clear message. Your life is not open to negotiation. A person who respects their own path commands respect without asking for it. Second, guard your time as though it were gold, because in truth, it is far more valuable. When you allow others to waste it, you unconsciously declare that your life has little urgency. But when you protect it, you demonstrate that your existence carries meaning and direction. Third, speak less, but with intention. Empty words dilute authority, while thoughtful speech builds it. When your words carry weight, people begin to listen, not because they must, but because they feel compelled to. Fourth, remain consistent in your actions. The world does not reward occasional greatness. It bows to dependable excellence. When your behavior becomes predictable in its quality, people begin to trust your value without question. Fifth, set firm boundaries without apology. Every time you say yes to what diminishes you, you say no to your own worth. But when you calmly and firmly define what you will and will not accept, you establish a standard others cannot ignore. Sixth, carry yourself with quiet confidence. True worth does not shout. It does not seek validation. It simply exists, unwavering and self-assured. When you believe deeply in your value, others feel it before you ever speak. And finally, invest in your own growth relentlessly. A person who is constantly evolving becomes impossible to overlook. Your dedication to improvement signals that you are an asset to yourself and to the world. Understand this. People are always observing. They are always learning from you. Not through your declarations, but through your discipline. Not through your demands, but through your decisions. So do not chase approval. Do not beg for recognition. Instead, embody the behaviors that make your worth undeniable. Because in the end, the world does not decide your value. You demonstrate it. Self-respect is the foundation upon which all meaningful relationships are built. It begins within, in the quiet decisions you make when no one is watching, what you accept, what you reject, and what you believe you deserve. When you hold yourself in high regard, you naturally create a standard that others can feel. Without saying a word, you communicate that your presence carries value and your life has purpose. People are constantly observing how you treat yourself, even in subtle ways. The way you speak about your abilities, the way you handle criticism, and the way you respond to challenges all send signals. If you diminish yourself, others will follow that lead. But when you carry yourself with dignity and confidence, you quietly instruct others to meet you at that same level of respect. Self-respect also reveals itself through the standards you refuse to compromise. When you choose not to tolerate disrespect, dishonesty, or anything that conflicts with your values, you draw a clear line. This line becomes a silent boundary that teaches people how far they can go and where they must stop. Those who recognize your worth will honor it, while those who do not will naturally fall away. There is also a powerful connection between self-respect and discipline. When you consistently act in alignment with your goals and principles, you strengthen your own sense of identity. This consistency builds an inner authority that others cannot ignore. Over time, your actions create a reputation that speaks on your behalf, reinforcing the standard you have set for yourself. Ultimately, self-respect is not about arrogance or superiority. It is about clarity. It is knowing who you are, what you stand for, and refusing to shrink for the comfort of others. When you truly respect yourself, you no longer need to demand respect from the world. It comes naturally as a reflection of the standard you live by every single day. Consistency is the quiet force that transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary influence. It is not found in dramatic moments of brilliance, but in the steady rhythm of disciplined action repeated day after day. While many are captivated by bold declarations and grand promises, true authority is built in silence, through actions that never waver. Every time you follow through on what you say, you strengthen an invisible bond of trust. People begin to rely on you, not because of what you claim, but because of what you consistently deliver. In a world filled with inconsistency, reliability becomes rare, and rarity commands respect. There is a distinct difference between intensity and consistency. Intensity may bring short bursts of attention, but consistency earns long-term recognition. Anyone can perform well once or even a few times. But the individual who shows up with the same level of commitment regardless of circumstances becomes impossible to ignore. Consistency also shapes your identity. The actions you repeat daily begin to define who you are, both in your own mind and in the eyes of others. When your behavior aligns with your values over time, you no longer need to explain yourself. Your life becomes the explanation. It is through consistency that confidence is truly built. Not the fragile confidence that depends on external validation, but the deep, unshakable confidence that comes from knowing you can rely on yourself. Each kept promise to yourself strengthens this inner certainty, making your presence more grounded and assured. People may question your words, but they rarely question patterns. When your actions form a clear and predictable pattern of discipline, focus, and integrity, doubt begins to fade. Others start to trust not just what you do, but who you are. This is where silent authority begins to take root. Consistency also has a compounding effect. Small, repeated actions accumulate into significant results over time. What seems insignificant in a single moment becomes powerful when multiplied across days, months, and years. This gradual buildup creates a level of mastery and influence that cannot be achieved through sporadic effort. In the end, silent authority is not something you demand, it is something you earn. It grows from the evidence of your actions, from the reliability of your character, and from the discipline you demonstrate when no one is watching. Speak less, promise less, but let your consistency say everything that needs to be heard. Boundaries are the invisible lines that define where you end and others begin. They are not walls meant to shut people out, but standards that show others how to engage with you. When these lines are clear and steady, they communicate self-respect without the need for explanation. Every time you tolerate behavior that diminishes you, you quietly give permission for it to continue. People learn not only from what you say, but from what you allow. If disrespect is met with silence, it is often repeated. If it is met with calm firmness, it begins to disappear. Many fear setting boundaries because they worry about conflict or rejection. But the absence of boundaries does not create peace. It creates confusion. Without clear limits, people will test how far they can go, not out of malice, but out of human nature. Clarity removes that uncertainty. A strong boundary is not loud or emotional. It is steady, composed, and unwavering. It does not need to justify itself repeatedly or seek approval. Its power lies in its consistency, not its volume. When you enforce a boundary with calm certainty, it becomes difficult for others to challenge it. Boundaries also protect your time, energy, and focus, the most valuable resources you possess. When you say yes to everything, you dilute your effectiveness and weaken your sense of direction. But when you choose carefully where your energy goes, you elevate both your productivity and your presence. There is a difference between kindness and compliance. True kindness respects both others and yourself. Compliance, on the other hand, often sacrifices your needs to avoid discomfort. Boundaries ensure that your generosity does not come at the cost of your well-being. Not everyone will respond positively to your boundaries, and that is part of the process. Those who benefited from your lack of limits may resist when you begin to enforce them. But this resistance is not a sign that you are wrong. It is a sign that the dynamic is changing. Over time, the people who truly value you will adjust and respect your standards. They will recognize that your boundaries are not barriers to connection, but foundations for healthier relationships. In fact, strong boundaries often deepen respect rather than diminish it. Boundaries also strengthen your relationship with yourself. Each time you uphold them, you reinforce your own sense of worth. You prove to yourself that your needs matter and that your voice deserves to be heard. This inner alignment builds confidence that cannot be shaken by external opinions. In the end, your boundaries tell a story about how you see yourself. They reveal what you believe you deserve and what you are no longer willing to accept. When you set them with clarity and uphold them with consistency, you teach the world a powerful lesson. Your value is not negotiable. Inner belief is the unseen force that quietly shapes every interaction you experience. It lives beneath your words, beneath your actions, and even beneath your intentions. Long before others decide how to treat you, your own self-image has already set the tone. What you believe about yourself becomes the standard the world responds to. Your self-image acts like a mirror, reflecting outward what you consistently hold within. If you see yourself as capable, worthy, and resilient, that energy begins to influence how you speak, how you move, and how you respond to challenges. Others may not consciously recognize it, but they feel it, and they respond accordingly. On the other hand, when doubt and insecurity dominate your inner world, they quietly shape your outer behavior. You may hesitate, second-guess yourself, or shrink in moments that require confidence. These subtle signals teach others to overlook your value, not because it is absent, but because it is hidden. Inner belief is not formed overnight. It is built through repeated thoughts, reinforced by experiences, and strengthened by the meaning you assign to those experiences. Each success you acknowledge strengthens it. Each failure you interpret wisely refines it. Over time, it becomes a powerful internal narrative that guides your life. What makes inner belief so powerful is that it influences your decisions before the world ever reacts. It determines the opportunities you pursue, the risks you take, and the standards you accept. In this way, your self-image does not just shape how others see you. It shapes the life you create. There is also a magnetic quality to strong self-belief. People are naturally drawn to those who carry certainty within themselves. Not arrogance, but a grounded confidence that does not seek approval. This quiet assurance signals stability, and stability earns trust. When you believe deeply in your worth, you no longer feel the need to prove it constantly. Your actions become more natural, your communication more direct, and your presence more composed. This ease creates a sense of authority that others respect without question. However, if your inner belief is fragile, you may find yourself seeking validation from others. This dependence weakens your position as your sense of worth becomes tied to external opinions. And when others sense this uncertainty, they are less likely to offer the respect you seek. Building a strong self-image requires intentional effort. It means becoming aware of the thoughts you repeat and choosing those that strengthen rather than weaken you. It means aligning your actions with the person you aspire to become, even before you fully feel it. Repetition plays a crucial role in this transformation. The more you act in alignment with confidence, discipline, and self-respect, the more your inner belief begins to shift. Eventually, what once felt like effort becomes natural, and your new self-image takes root. It is important to understand that the world does not define your worth, it reflects it. People respond to the signals you send, both consciously and unconsciously. When those signals are grounded in self-belief, they create a powerful impression that is difficult to ignore. This does not mean you will never face doubt or criticism, but with a strong inner foundation, those external forces lose their power to define you. You remain steady, guided by your own understanding of who you are and what you deserve. As your self-image strengthens, you will notice a shift not only in how others treat you, but in the opportunities that come your way. Doors that once seemed closed begin to open, not by chance, but because you now carry yourself in a way that aligns with those opportunities. In the end, inner belief is the starting point of all outward respect. It is the quiet decision to see yourself as valuable, capable, and worthy, long before the world agrees. And once that belief becomes unshakable, the world has no choice but to reflect it back to you.